The concept of the devil wanting to keep Christians poor is rooted in the idea that financial struggles can hinder a person's spiritual growth and relationship with God. According to biblical teachings, the devil, also known as Satan, is an adversary who seeks to disrupt the plans of God and cause chaos in the lives of believers. One of the primary ways he achieves this is by manipulating Christians' financial situations, keeping them in a state of poverty and lack. The Bible states that the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Jesus came that we might have life and have it abundantly. John 10:10. This abundance is not limited to spiritual blessings, but also includes physical and financial prosperity. However, the devil seeks to prevent Christians from experiencing this abundance by keeping them in this state of financial bondage. He does this by deceiving them into believing that poverty is a virtuous state, or that wealth is only for the wicked. When Christians are struggling financially, they are more likely to be anxious, stressed, and distracted from their spiritual pursuits. They may become so focused on making ends meet that they neglect their relationship with God, forgetting to prioritize prayer, worship, and service to others. The devil delights in this, as it allows him to gain a foothold in the Christian's life, causing them to doubt God's goodness and provision. Moreover, poverty can lead to a sense of powerlessness and hopelessness, causing Christians to feel like they are at the mercy of the circumstances. This can lead to a lack of faith and trust in God's ability to provide, which is exactly what the devil wants. He wants Christians to rely on their own strength and resources, rather than trusting in God's sovereignty and provision. The devil also uses poverty to isolate Christians from one another and from the world around them. When Christians are struggling financially, they may feel ashamed or embarrassed, causing them to withdraw from community and fellowship. This isolation can lead to a lack of support, encouragement, and accountability, making it easier for the devil to launch attacks on the Christian's faith and character. In addition, the devil uses poverty to prevent Christians from being a blessing to others. When Christians are financially struggling, they are less likely to be generous and hospitable, which are key characteristics of the Christian faith. The Bible teaches that Christians are to be generous and willing to share their resources with others, as this is a fundamental aspect of loving one's neighbor as oneself. By keeping Christians in poverty, the devil prevents them from being a blessing to others, which in turn hinders the spread of the gospel and the advancement of God's kingdom. Finally, the devil wants to keep Christians poor because it allows him to perpetuate a false narrative about God's character. If Christians are struggling financially, they may begin to doubt God's goodness, love, and provision. They may wonder if God is truly able and willing to provide for their needs, or if he is somehow distant or uncaring. This is exactly what the devil wants, as it allows him to undermine the Christian's faith and confidence in God. In conclusion, the devil wants to keep Christians poor because it allows him to achieve his ultimate goal of disrupting God's plans and causing chaos in the lives of believers. By manipulating Christians' financial situations, the devil can prevent them from experiencing the abundant life that Jesus came to give, and instead keep them in a state of spiritual and financial bondage. However, Christians must remember that they are not alone in this struggle, and that God is always willing and able to provide for their needs. By trusting in God's sovereignty and provision, Christians can overcome the devil's schemes and live a life of financial freedom and spiritual abundance.